morning. It's Monday, May 3rd. And yesterday I talked about the city reopening today and about how the city workers weren't prepared to come back to work. They wanted to wait until September. But the mayor wants them to open up the city today because he wants to prove to businesses and theaters and other forms of enterprises that it's okay that the city can start opening up. And he wants to open up in July. Now the governor doesn't agree with him. But I want to talk today about herd immunity, about the fact that we have vaccinated something like 250 million people. But only about half of those people have been fully vaccinated. And the numbers of the people who don't want to be vaccinated hasn't changed much. It hasn't changed much, and maybe it hasn't changed at all. So we are sitting here trying to reach something that they called herd immunity. But that doesn't look realistic now, because we have this huge group of people who have refused to be vaccinated. And joining them are many of the people who've received one shot. They don't want to continue with the treatment. So herd immunity may just be a myth. It may be something that is just some great idea, but it never comes to fruition. There was a survey done just recently, a survey taken of those who were 18 or older, and 57% of them had already been vaccinated. And of the balance, 35% of the balance said they were pretty soon going to be vaccinated, as soon as they could get one. Well, now, a couple of weeks later, only 6% of the balance is getting ready to be vaccinated. So that's a big drop-off. And we still have about 7% of the population that is waiting to see what happens before deciding. And then we got another 10% who are in a similar situation, but they're willing, but they haven't yet figured out how to do it. And then there's the group, 20% of the people who said they will never get vaccinated. So when you look at these numbers, the implication is that we will never reach herd immunity. And herd immunity has been the goal from day one. We need to get at least 75% of the population fully vaccinated. Right now, that number stands at about 30% of the population fully vaccinated. And most of those people are in my universe, the over 65 class. And I guess the people over 50 did okay also. But there's 35% of the people in this country that don't plan to be vaccinated or have one shot, and they're not going to get the second shot. So if we don't reach herd immunity, and it looks like we're falling far short of that, we will not have the population-wide protection that is required to move on to a more normal life. So I ask you, do you know anybody who hasn't been vaccinated, who won't be vaccinated, who is against vaccination? And if you know such a person, you should get on their ass and tell them to get vaccinated. So at this juncture in the fight against COVID-19, we need about 96 million additional U.S. residents to get vaccinated. 96 million. That would bring us to about 80% of the total. That would be well within the range that we need for herd immunity. Now, maybe we can make that difference up with the younger generation, the children. I'm not sure if vaccinating children counts in the herd immunity as much as it counts in vaccinating adults. But even if we wanted to use all the children, there are just 73 million minors in the country, so we would still be far short of herd immunity. And nowhere near 73 million will end up being vaccinated anyhow, because many of them are associated with adults that are against vaccination. So I would guess we're probably 50 or 60 million shy of the goal of herd immunity. So if I were a betting man, which I am in some cases, I would bet that herd immunity is going to elude us in the United States. And that's a situation that has become increasingly visible in the past couple of weeks. The vaccine supply is far ahead of the demand for being vaccinated. And the average number of doses being administered has started to slip badly. Now, this doesn't mean that the pandemic will never slow down, because we will have many people who are infected and survive. So hopefully those people will bring us closer to herd immunity. But that's not a sure thing. Now, many people believe that we have gotten past the worst of the pandemic, and they're probably right. But there's still 25% of the population that believe the worst is yet to come. Well, we won't be able to see the results of that until we get into the fall and winter months again. So right now we're sitting at about 55%. And we need about another 25% of the population to get to 80%. And I don't know how we're going to reach that. But I'm hopeful some of the people who so far have been reluctant to get vaccinated will change their minds. And we can get to herd immunity. And we can get on with our lives. And so I say, enough with the rights of people. There is a point at which rights should not be allowed. And this is one of them. This is one of the situations in the world where the health of many should not be damaged or obstructed by the rights of a few. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's time for minority rule to stop, at least in this situation. So have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.